Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Nye. Right now in Isle Deckney, it is 9:52 a.m. on Monday, May 4th, 2020. No news as usual, but there was a quiz show on TV yesterday. All those questions. I think we heard this one already. But Isabel's going to go back to work, and we're going to start our daily nonsense. So how are you all doing today? Everybody having a good day? I hope so. So far, the day is pretty solid. Can't necessarily say it's been a good day, given that the day is just starting. Kind of a weird day. I had to try to force myself to sleep, and usually I'm not particularly solid on that. That's not something I'm really terribly good at, forcing myself to sleep. You know, I thought I should probably get a goodly amount of sleep in, and laid my head down at, 1 o'clock in the morning, which is pretty typical for me. Most of the day on the weekdays, I only get about 7 hours of sleep or so. So laid my head down about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then proceeded to have to literally just lay there until 8:30. Probably slept about, 3/4 of that, but there was definitely a fair amount of time where I was just kind of laying there in the middle of the night, staring at the inside of my eyelids. I'm not sure why sleep was so bad. The normal reasons, things like, naturally, caffeine and stuff, weren't the case. Didn't have any caffeine last night. Just for some reason, there was no sleep. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yesterday, though, I proved that there is absolutely a word that you can use to describe me. We talked about this a couple of days ago, about how you may be able to use a word or a couple of words to describe your personality to a T. Oh, Dodo Airlines. Here's the prize I received from Rover during my Mayday tour. And here's the Bell vouchers I got during the Mayday tour. So unfortunately, we missed 5 of them, but... And here's some bamboo shoots from Daisy May. Thanks, Daisy May. Okay. Let's go see what this prize is, because it was a furniture item. Right? Yeah, Rover's Briefcase. Oh, neat! You know, I'm not gonna lie, I've always wanted one of these. Like, not in-game. I've always wanted in real life to have one of these hard-sided suitcases with stickers from all kinds of places all over it. Really? I can't make that go any further to the right? It's that big? Huh. Now, all I have to do is, go and get myself a hard-sided briefcase, and then go ahead and go to all sorts of places and get stickers on it. It's really that easy, if you think about it. But yeah, yesterday I kind of proved that there is a word that you can use that describes me. It's a very simple word, and it's a very accurate word too, and that word is stubborn. You'll see it a lot, especially if I'm live streaming or if someone comments in one of the comments of my videos. If you tell me, especially in a video game, that I cannot do something, my immediate instinctual reaction is to prove you wrong and to try to get it done. Okay, that's a lie. If you tell me it's impossible, that's one thing. If you tell me it's simply very difficult, it's something entirely different. And the very difficult is where it was at. You tell me something is very difficult, and the first thing I think is, I can do that, and I'm going to prove that I can. And part of me thinks that, that immediately sounds like one of those assaults on masculinity. You have tarnished my masculine pride, and therefore I have to prove you're wrong by any means necessary to restore myself at the top of the totem pole. Yar har 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 har. And many parts of myself thinks that there's the phrase top of the totem pole, and then I think of how many super masculine men are homophobic, and I wonder if they ever think about that phrase. But regardless of that, it's got very little to do with that. It's, in a large way, it's very much that I love a challenge. I adore being challenged. I love it. It's so much fun. Someone wanders up to you and tells you, you know, that, hey, in this thing that you're doing, where the only thing you can lose is time, the only loss that you have is the amount of time that you spend. Sup, Boone? I am here. I have a thing for you. You're never going to wear it, but I'm going to give it to you. It's striped socks. A real highway choice. Okay, well, you now have some striped socks. But, yeah, I mean, it's... If someone tells me that, hey, there's this challenging thing you can do, for attempting to do it, you lose nothing, but you get to at least have some level of pride in yourself for succeeding, why wouldn't I go for it? You tell me there's this thing I can do that most people do not do, that very few people have. I immediately want to make the attempt. So we were playing Snowboard Kids 2 last night, and admittedly, part of the reason I was playing Snowboard Kids 2 is actually a very similar thing. I was watching a streamer, and the streamer was playing Snowboard Kids 1, really, but they'd also played Snowboard Kids 2, and they were not a fan. They thought the game was not good. And part of the reason they thought the game was not good is they were having trouble with it, because they didn't really understand how to play the game. Now, I'm not saying that the Snowboard Kids 2 is necessarily a masterpiece of gaming. When you really look at the game, especially from the lens of a current, nowadays gamer, there are definitely some issues. The controls have some problems to it. There's a little bit of issues with the course design. The rubber banding on the computers can be a little bit obnoxious, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I find it to be a pretty fantastic game. It's a good racing game that combines features of things like, other snowboarding titles, like, let's say, SSX and things of that nature. And then you combine that with something like a Mario Kart or a Diddy Kong Racing, and that gets you Snowboard Kids. I don't think we have a lawnmower. But I find it to be a fantastic game, and really kind of enjoyed myself yesterday. It took the streamer a good long time to play through, and my thought was I can do it faster and potentially better. Which I did, which was awesome. But we got through the main game, and you get to go back around and play challenge mode. And I recalled correctly, that challenge mode is where the game gets super fun, because that's where you start getting all of the extraordinarily weird boards. Snowboard Kids does have a, didn't really want to pick that up, thank you. Snowboard Kid has a fun board system. Think a little bit like Mario Kart 8, but not really. Where you don't have just one snowboard, you don't have just the standard plank of wood that you ride. There is the speed board, the trick board, and the balance board. All of them have different stats. Speed board, of course, being all about speed. Get down the mountain or whatever you happen to be riding on as fast as humanly possible. Balance board being really fast, but has better turning than the speed board by a fair amount. And the trick board being somewhat slow, but hey, at the very least it can turn. And that can be kind of important sometimes. Here, have some silk pants that you'll never wear. It is time for a change-up. Please put some pants on. Thanks, Renee. Once you get into expert mode, however, the boards get kind of fun. You unlock one board per one of the races that you do. There are, I think, 13 races in the game, so there's a fair amount of races to try. Hey, Gulliver, I haven't seen you in the longest. Sup, buddy? No, you walk the plank, Ahab. Mm-hmm. Can you wake up, please? Dude, you're kind of annoying. Wake your ass up. There we go. It is me. No, I really don't want to hear about this story. We've heard this story before. Yes, 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 your phone's broken. Yes, yes, yes. Moving on. Yep, Yes, 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 yes. I'll look for them. You know, talking to the person who is, you're asking for help and telling them how big of a head they have, probably not the best plan, Gulliver. So in Snowboard Kids, once you beat the game, you unlock Expert Mode. There are 13 some odd races that you can re-race, and if you win in first again, you unlock a more interesting snowboard that you get to ride. Now, the races aren't easy, because as soon as you actually get to Expert Mode, the computers start to cheat, and they start to cheat in a major way. Their rubber banding becomes even stronger. They actively make sure that they are... God, is that a golden computer? Hold on. Hold on. Is this a golden laptop? 70,000 bells. I might actually be able to order that. Let's see. First of all, let's sell some stuff. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. Everything good? Everything kosher? Yeah. 39,000 bells. Not quite the 70,000 I need, my good chum. We'll be back. So the computers cheat. So they actively rubber band even harder than they did before. But when I say rubber band, usually when you hear rubber band, you hear that they speed up when they're behind you and they slow down when they're ahead of you. And the actual reality is it's only half of that. They speed up when they're behind you and they absolutely do not slow down when they're ahead of you. Once the computer gets ahead of you, they stay ahead of you. You have to actively fight to get back up to them, which I'm completely fine with. I enjoy the concept of having to fight to keep up with the computer. I think it's fun. Was here? Yeah. The computer also makes a, God darn it. Okay. Well, once I finish going around the island and getting all the fruits, we'll go ahead and make another shovel so I can deal with Gulliver. The computer also makes a significant habit of getting all the items in front of you. Items in Snowboard Kids 2 is a little bit different than you might expect. It's not like, let's say Mario Kart where you just run through a box. Yes, you do run through a box, but you have to have money in order to buy an item from the box. Every item costs 100 gold coins just to get, and if you don't happen to have 100 gold coins when you go through the box, you get nothing. Now, this is an upgrade from Snowboard Kids 1. In Snowboard Kids 1, if you go through a box and you have no money, you just run into the box. No, I did not want to give you my axe. Okay, fine. I will have to go make an axe as well. Is Sylvana home? Sylvana's not home. So in Snowboard Kids 2, if you don't happen to have, you don't have money, you just go to the box and you get nothing. How do you get money? Sometimes you can pick it up. If you are in non-expert mode, money's going to be on the ground. But as soon as you go into expert mode, that money goes away. You have to perform tricks when you go off of jumps. But there's an item in the game called the... I don't know, it's Lucky Rat, something like that. And the Lucky Rat actively steals your money. The computer gets this item an awful lot. All of a sudden, you have no money, and you cannot get yourself an item. The computers actively will go through an item box directly in front of you. And unlike... actually got a furniture piece this time. A rattan low table. Very nice. Unlike Mario Kart, item boxes typically do not come 3 or 4 abreast. So if a computer runs through an item box in front of you, there is no more item box for you. And computers will actively go out of their way to make sure they get rid of an item in front of you. Also, there's a little bit of crab bucket going on in the game, where computers behind you will make sure to pull you back, even if there's absolutely no chance that attacking you would get them into first place. They don't care if you win, or they don't care who wins, as long as it's not you. Now, you say, nah, this is not cheating, and I disagree. This is actively 3 computers against 1 human player, actively just trying to make sure you do not win. I don't know about you, but that sounds like cheating to me. The other big thing is that the computers actively have access to these super boards. Now, I haven't really ever seen one using some of the more broken boards in the game, but there are boards that, for example, will cause you to be invisible. Invisible people cannot be hit by items, and on one of the races I was racing last night, someone had an invisible board. I need to go make myself a shovel. Luckily, the invisible board is rather slow, so the person who was invisible wasn't necessarily going to be in first, but it meant that if they ever did attack, it was going to be nigh impossible for me, haha, there's my name, to actually beat them, or even hit them back. Not that I'm saying this wasn't fun. The game is absolutely a lot of fun. I enjoy it a hell of a lot, but there is some difficulty. So as I played last night, there's a certain sequence that it is recommended that you play through expert mode. Because once you've unlocked all the races, you can do the races in any order. And once you're playing through in expert mode, you can unlock certain boards in a certain order to get the better boards that will help you in other places. What am I missing? I'm missing wood. Do I actually have any normal wood? Naturally not. Okay, I'll have to get some normal wood. And what I'm told is largely the hardest level in the game, the re-race against the dinosaur, which is, I think, like race number 9 or something like that. And the re-race against the dinosaur, it's generally recommended that you have at least what's called the high-tech board. The high-tech board is a board that actively has one of the speed items on at all times, which is kind of fun, actually. If you think of about a Mario Kart, it means that you basically constantly have a mushroom active. Fun stuff. Thing is, though, there's another speed boosting item in the game, the rocket. The fan, which is the one that the high-tech board has, is long-lasting, but it's, you know, it's a moderate speed increase. Whereas the rocket is a heavy speed increase that lasts for a very short period of time. Now, the problem is the dinosaur is who you have to race in the Dinosaur Race, as you might expect. The dinosaur constantly runs in front of you, and it has the ability to drop eggs, and you can smack into eggs, and they cause you to fall over, which will cause you to have to get back up. You basically lose your speed, and if you hit a single egg in this race, in the expert version, you're pretty much down for the count, or at least as far as I could tell. The idea is to shoot bombs at the dinosaur, or use other abilities to slow it down, because you have to come in first place in this race. But the problem is that the dinosaur moves at a constant rate of a board plus rocket. It's extremely fast. It goes extremely quickly. It recovers extremely quickly from being attacked. Very, very hard, very hard race. And I was told that it was going to be extremely difficult to beat the dinosaur if I did not have the high-tech board. Now, I had unlocked the high-tech board because I had somewhat remembered how to get it, which race to unlock it. Took me a couple of tries, but I was able to unlock the high-tech board, but wouldn't you know it, the high-tech board is stupidly expensive. So the options were to either grind on another race, get a bunch of money, grab the high-tech board, and attack the dinosaur. Well, this is bad. So either attack the dinosaur. Oh, I don't have a, I don't have a net. Let's go fix that. Or use a normal board and try to beat the dinosaur. And that's the part that I was told was going to be rather difficult. But as soon as you tell me that the race is extremely difficult, I immediately go, wait a second. Difficult is fun. I like difficult. Let's go. So I started racing, and I started racing, and I started racing, and I started racing, and it took me an awfully long time. But eventually, without using the high-tech board, I beat the dinosaur. Now, Nye, you might say, why does this matter? You did something the hard way for no reason. And I say, yes, and that's the point. I did something the hard way. I had fun doing it. Why did I make a flimsy fishing rod? Who knows, but let's make a full fishing rod and let's move on. But the point was that I could do it. It was a challenge made to me. They said, hey, this is hard. This is not an easy thing to do. You know, you should go do it the easy way. And I immediately chafe whenever I hear that you should go do something the easy way. Now, it's a good question about what kind of drives me to do something the hard way like that. Because in life, in reality, when I'm actually doing something, do I have three fishing? I have 3 fishing rods on me. Okay, never mind. You go in storage. But in real life, in reality, whenever I'm actually doing something, when I'm out and about, I actively choose to go for the easy mode. Because in general, I feel that you should do things the easy way. Whenever I'm working... Now, when I say the easy way, I don't mean a stupid way. I don't mean cut corners. But if there is a shortcut in doing something, if there is an easier way to do it that has the same result as the hard way to do it, I always say go the easy way. There's no reason to make your life harder. Actively, when I'm working with my clients and we're working in their systems, if there is an easier way to do the work that we're trying to do, I will always tell them what the easier way is. And I actively look for any shortcuts or any easier way to do work that I can. Not that I don't want to work hard, but I find that efficiency is always good. So in real life, in reality, I actively look for the easy way. But as soon as we get into a video game, as soon as we get into something where I'm doing it for fun, all of a sudden the easy way doesn't hold quite as much interest. And I don't know if it's necessarily that it's I think that the idea is that it's a challenge. A lot of video games are not necessarily challenging. They don't go out of their way to give you something interesting to do. So as soon as I find a way to make something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more challenging, or alternatively, to avoid built-in ways to make my life easier, I kind of tend to take them. Now, that's not to say that I will always do that. There are a lot of cases in video games where I won't do that. For example, if you're going to give me an option to give me a user interface upgrade that will make it easier for me to track something, I will take that. In Lobotomy Corporation, when they gave me the opportunity to track my employees' health with a visual update, I took it immediately, because it's much harder to track that health without knowing, or at least to make a guess as to what the health of my employees are. So I would rather have that visual interface to tell me how much health my employees have. But the challenge is still there in other ways. In Lobotomy Corporation, I've been told multiple times that I should probably restart the game, because restarting the game allows me to keep all the knowledge I have, so everything I've unlocked about the various abnormalities in the game. I'd also be able to keep all of my armor and weapons. I would just have to start over from day one. I've been told this would be an easier way to play the game, and so therefore I immediately say no. Oh, why'd I do that? That's not what I want. As I said, I'm not 100% sure why. It's more just because I like the challenge. I like the idea, I think, that I was able to do the thing without taking the easy way out. As I said, one thing that I think I can describe myself very easily is stubborn. I am absolutely stubborn. I don't want to take the easy way out, and I actively refuse to do so whenever it is possible to do so in certain contexts. Like I said, if we're talking about work, or we're talking about something in real life typically, in real life I don't usually avoid the easy way or the quick ways. But I think also, in real life, you have much more to lose. In a video game, I lose time. And while time is absolutely valuable, we all have only so much time in this world. Generally, I'm having fun regardless of how much time I'm spending. Even if I'm getting frustrated trying to do something, I'm still having fun. And that fun isn't lost for having more time. So I don't mind doing it that way. It also depends entirely on the video game. I was playing on Final Fantasy XIV the other night, and I was hunting down some mount drops off of the Stormblood primals. And when we were killing these primals, it was taking us about 6 minutes at a time, which isn't bad by any means. But I was told by a friend there was a special thing that we could do that I could get the time down to 4 minutes at a time. Naturally, I took the 4 minutes at a time timer. It does mean that the game is a little bit faster. Not necessarily easier, per se, but absolutely faster. I don't even want to deal with that tree anymore. I think it definitely depends on the game. Some games lend themselves to keeping difficulty more than others. It also depends on what the difficulty modifier is. I generally don't like games where the difficulty modifier is simply that enemies hit you harder and you hit enemies harder. Or, alternatively, to put it a different way, that just the numbers are increased. I find that to be a fairly boring way to make things more difficult. Hi, Melba. Yeah, I'll get medicine. It'll be fine. What are you working on today? A Dark Cosmos crown. Okay. Well, yep, please tell me this. I'll make another flower crown. Oh. Well, that's irritating. I'll be back. There's a lot of games I've played where the difficulty increasing is just that the HP of enemies and the is increased. The damage you deal is decreased. The enemies deal more damage. And that's interesting and all to a certain point, but it doesn't necessarily feel like you're actually doing more. Sup, Broccolo? I have a thing for you. Here, have a diner apron. Nice. We both know you're going to stay in it. Don't even lie to me. You know, when we talk about one game as an example of this is actually Kingdom Hearts, and I actually like Kingdom Hearts. But in Kingdom Hearts, one of the ways of increasing difficulty in the game is that enemies gain more health and they hit you harder. Not necessarily that you deal less damage, but the enemies are stronger. And that does make the game significantly harder. However, if we go look at certain enemies, and the enemy in question, I think off the top of my head, is Lingering Will. Lingering Will, while it does have a lot of health, while it does hit fairly hard, Lingering Will's health drops more and more the more combos you do against him before getting a combo finisher. So in that case, it's actually more about playing better, about holding your combo longer. And that, I feel, makes that fight more interesting, because all of a sudden, I have to be more skilled in order to win. Which I love. On the other hand, I can go point at the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Especially such enemies as Hush. Hush has a lot of health, and it's a pretty strong boss. There's a lot of bullets in the air at any one time. But the thing that makes Hush very hard is it has extreme damage resistance. It doesn't matter how much damage you've built up during the course of the run. Hush will only take a certain amount of damage, kind of no matter what you do. It limits how much damage you can do. And I find that boring as hell. I don't think it's interesting. All of a sudden, one of the most interesting parts of a run of Isaac, which is getting to be as strong as you possibly can be, and seeing even bigger numbers on screen, all of a sudden, it's meaningless. It'd be like playing a game like Final Fantasy, and all of a sudden like that, or such like that, you get to level 99, all of a sudden you fight a boss who's a level 99 boss, but all of a sudden you can only deal damage as if you were level 1. That's boring! I spent all that time getting level 99. I want to be level 99. Thank you, Melba. Oh, also Melba? Here, have a thing. I'm gonna hold on to that, actually. But here, have a layered shirt. Nice. So I think it depends on the difficulty. One of the things that I find somewhat interesting about Snowboard Kids is how it increases the difficulty. It makes the computers smarter. Wow, Broccolo got over here really fast. The computers actively play better, they use better boards, they actively fight to make sure that you can't, what's up, B? You sort of spaced out? No, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. I'm eventually going to have to let some of my islanders leave at some point so we can see some new islanders, but I kind of like the group that we have. Now, remember, I did say that the fact that these computers do these actions I consider to be cheating, and I absolutely do, and it's mostly just because it's really just because the computers work together more than anything. I'd be comfortable with the computers actively, like, hitting me harder if they weren't all just focusing on me. I want them to focus on each other as well. That's where I think the cheating comes into play, because, again, it's really 3 versus 1 as opposed to 1v1v1v1. But the computers actually play better, and I think that's what makes things interesting. You play a game like, you know, for example, StarCraft. Yes, enemies hit you harder on harder difficulties. Yes, your units don't last as long. But enemies also come at you in higher numbers. They produce faster. The AI actively builds faster and better. And that's what really makes those difficulties harder. It's not necessarily that the enemies hit harder. It's that there's always more of them. And they're also a little bit better organized. Just a tad. But again, we were talking about stubbornness, and that's something that I do in games all the time, is I'm constantly being told, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, or this is something very hard. And literally the second I hear that, my immediate response is, oh yeah, says you. I don't know how healthy that is of an assumption, or of a thing to say. What's up, chatter? I do want to talk to you, yes. I'd love to give you a thing. I think you need new faux suede sneakers. I did get you some faux suede sneakers. Oh, hey. We'll get some money. Cool. I can always use more money. Hi, Peanut. Oh, hey. Peanut gives me medicine. Thank you, Peanut. I appreciate you. Yeah, Chatter does have the really cool house. Except for that toy box. That toy box is a little bit weird, let's be fair. What do I want to give you? You get KK Samba. Okay, well, I'll get money. That's fine. Thanks, Peanut. It was definitely a fun time yesterday playing through. I didn't expect the game to last for very long. We ended up playing, got to expert mode within about 2 hours. I think I streamed 4 hours altogether. We're not quite done with the game. It's going to take me one more stream to get everything done. But we're going to be done fairly quickly. But it was definitely enjoyable to dust off that game and, you know, pick it up off of my shelf. It's been sitting on my shelf for quite some time, waiting to be played again. And it definitely had my interest. And it definitely makes me feel good now that I know that my my N64 is definitely going to be playable. I think that's a huge thing for me, is to know that some of these old games I get to pick right up again. I was talking yesterday about, or the day before, about nostalgia as well. Talking about looking at these old games and going, do they hold up? And that's a very good question. So the question is, do I feel like Snowboard Kids held up? And oddly enough, I really believe it did. Anything else you want to say to me? Okay, we can build shrubs next to each other. I'll keep that in mind. But oddly enough, as I said, I do actually feel that that Snowboard Kids did actually hold up over the test of time. Yeah, it definitely looks old. Like, the graphics are definitely older graphics. But the gameplay did feel just as good as I really expected it to. No, it's not SSX, which is, you know, that's SSX is my go-to snowboarding game if I want a really good snowboarding game. Either SSX Tricky if I want more of a strict racing experience, or SSX 3. I already have Sandy Beach flooring, unfortunately. Or SSX 3 if I want something a little bit more robust, a little more exploration, or a little bit more trick competitions. So Snowboard Kids doesn't quite hold up against, like, SSX when we talk about strict snowboarding games. But in terms of a racing style game, or a not necessarily competition, but an alternative to a Mario Kart or a Diddy Kong Racing, I find that Snowboard Kids is a lot of fun. It's exactly what I want in a video game of its type. It does exactly what I would like it to do, and it does it exactly the way I want it to do it. The only downside is I did get myself a little bit of N64 thumb, to be honest. Because I find that in Snowboard Kids, I do want to hold the joystick forwards 100% of the time. I don't know if that actually makes you go faster, but it feels like it does. Okay, I hear the squish. I do not see the squish. It's like behind this tree. Yes, it is. Okay. Must be like right here. Ah, there it is. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun, and again, it's kind of gratifying to play some of these old games and to feel like this game is fairly good. There were very few times that I played the game that I wasn't happy with it. Now, I'm not going to lie. There were times. There are a couple parts of the game that I feel are done very not well. Grind rails being one of them. There are grind rails in the game. You are able to get your snowboard up on a rail, and I think it's called a 50-50. Make your way down that rail sideways. You are able to do that, but it's really based on kind of hitting that rail exactly right. You have to be really lined up almost perfectly in order to make it work. And I find that the necessity to really hit those rails exactly right is a little bit obnoxious. There were several times, especially in the racing with the Dinosaur. And the Dinosaur, if you really want to beat it, you have to hit a shortcut that requires you to hit 2 grind rails back to back. And against the Dinosaur, there were a couple of times where I thought I hit the grind rail well enough, and the game very much said no. And that does bring up the question, I think, on what should I expect from the game? Should the game give it to me or not? You know, there is the question of how You know, should the game be, it's easier, right, if the game will give you a little bit of leeway on something like a grind rail, on hitting it. And so the question really is, if I hit the grind rail at an angle the game doesn't want me to, it's not going to give me the grind rail. And the question is, should that be opened up a little bit? Should there be a little bit of that, a little bit more angle leeway given to me? I think there should be. I don't really want to haul back because I don't want this thing to vanish. Okay. Come on. Oh, I am close enough to the water. Come on. Ugh, this is the most obnoxious thing. There we go. Okay. And a coelacanth. Okay. Well, it's not what I was looking for, but it's still good. That is money in the bank, and make no mistake. See, as a general rule, I was definitely enjoying my time. You know what? I'll let this go, because snails are very easy to find. I'll find another snail. I'll get the snail statue from Flick next time I see him. That's the plan. Definitely fun. It was a time well spent. I think there will be at least one more day of Snowboard Kids 2. I don't know if I'll go back to Snowboard Kids 1, at least not for the time being. I'm definitely of the opinion that Snowboard Kids 2 was the better game. Okay, let's go buy some stuff. Didn't end up buying the desktop yesterday. Just didn't end up spending the time to get it. My dog does not like pet beds. She's just not interested. She's sleeping on the actual bed behind me. A little bit of a spoiled, rotten thing. I didn't see, I'm still missing a... Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't check... Hold on. I didn't check turnip prices. I didn't see a fourth fossil. $39 bells. Man. That is bleak. That is very not good. Well, I may get a decent spike later on today. We'll see. Or not later today, necessarily. But later on this week. Might get as much as 180 bells. Think I'm gonna hold out for a friend to maybe get a better price. I need to clean this up, but I need to build more of these stalls. I did find someone was doing like stalls with like gift wrap presents on them, and I really like that idea. And each present naturally being a recipe. I really like that idea, so I might go for that. And I think what I'm gonna do for here is I'm probably gonna make another shelf out and put it on the other side. So I'm not a big fan of that lack of symmetricality. What's up, Gulliver? Got your things. Congratulations, you did it. Couldn't you just tell him I'm on Isle Deckney? You've been here before? Okay, well, we did that. See, I'll definitely be playing more N64 games as the weeks go on. I've got a good number of them that I want to play. Cartridges that have been kicking around the house for a long time. It was also pretty appreciated, I think, that the system worked just as I expected it to. The converter worked just as I expected it to. Okay, let's see what we found. The converter worked exactly as I expected it to. The controller was still good. T-Rex tail, I think. That's my T-Rex done. Hey. Let's hear about the T-Rex. T-Rex is the 800-pound gorilla of the dinosaur world. Only 800, but it likely weighed well over 9 tons. Oh, okay. This fearsome chap is practically synonymous with the word dinosaur, and for good reason. At up to 42 feet long with banana-sized teeth, it was one of the largest carnivores ever to walk the earth. It's unclear how fast the T-Rex was, since estimates vary wildly. I'm just relieved I will never have to escape one. Nice. Nope, that was it for now. Okay, folks and folkettes. I appreciate you all being here, as always. It is always a fun time talking to you. But I think we've done just about everything I intend to do today. And I got nothing more to ramble about, at least right now. I gotta save topics, because we have a lot of Animal Crossing to go from here on out. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Tom Nook said he wanted to talk to me after we got back from the Mayday event. Oh, nice. Don't know why someone threw away a sapling. Hers took your Mayday tour. You spared no effort putting the event together. Tell me, how did it go? It was fun. I'm so glad to hear that. Believe me, when you're happy, I'm happy. I also heard that you managed to make your way through the maze. Maybe it was too easy for an adventure of your skill, Well, I'm just happy you had a good time. Allow me to once again express my gratitude for everything you and the other residents do. Because of you, Isle Deckney is a vibrant island community. And you can be sure that Nook Inc. will continue supporting you wherever we can. After all, we're all in this together. Yep, that is a pretty true statement. Okay, anything new at the Nook Stop? So as usual, that is going to be about it for me, guys, now that we have finally validated that we are done. Yep, nothing really new going on here. So as usual, do let me know in comments about stuff that we talked about today. Do you find yourself to be stubborn? Do you look for extra challenges in video games that are not necessarily posed directly by the game themselves? Such as, you know, doing all the achievements, for example, is always one of them. But often I find that achievements are not actually the challenge I'm looking for, so I come up with excuse me, new challenges of my own. Do you do the same thing? Do you look for ways to eschew the easier way to do something to actually go for the challenge mode? I'm very curious. And that goes for other things, too. Do you find yourself to be stubborn? You want to do things your way. That often actually describes me. I want to do things my way, or potentially the highway. So do let me know. I would be curious. As always, if there is something you want me to talk about that I haven't talked about already, do let me know. I do intend to be doing these Animal Crossing daily blogs for quite a while now. And while I do try to come up with a new topic for myself every day to kind of wax on about, I am trying to talk nonstop for 45 minutes to an hour, and sometimes I'm going to run out of topics. So if you guys can give me new topics, I'd appreciate it. If you liked the video, it would be kind of nice if you guys would go and hit that like button. What is that? Hold up. Oh, wait, hold on. Sable. Been having more and more hot days lately. Summer's just around the corner. Probably time to get out my collection of summer aprons. Uncle Knick-Knack's summer wardrobe. Okay, hold on. What is this, an avocado hat? That's a ski mask? Okay, if you say so. So if you liked today's episode, do hit that like button. It does help me out by helping other people find my videos. Helps them out too, because it helps them find my videos. It's helping everybody out. So do let me know with that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hitting that subscribe button is a great way to do that. You'll get alerted when I put a video up. I do that at least once a day. Sometimes more often than that. So, great, fantastic way to see when I'm uploading stuff. I was hoping we could have, let's see. Can I? No, you can't have both of them. I wanted ski mask plus eyeglasses. Shame. And if you want to see stuff live, like all of these Snowboard Kids like hours that I'm talking about, go follow me on Twitch. I do streams every Tuesday and Thursday after 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then sometimes, like yesterday being a Sunday, I will just spontaneously do a stream. My spontaneous streams don't tend to be the series that I'm actively working on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I don't want people to miss out. So it's a great way to see kind of weird stuff I might be doing that you wouldn't see otherwise. Everything is eventually put on YouTube, but it does take significantly longer for me to put it on YouTube than to just stream it. I still have stuff from like last August that I haven't put up yet. So if you want to see stuff early, that is a great way to do so. And by following me on Twitch, you will be told when I go live. You can also go ahead and check out my Discord, which should be in my description of my videos. On my Discord, I always put up an announcement saying I'm about to go live. Same thing with YouTube, actually. I put up an announcement here, too. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all more than you know. And I will see you all next time.